Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea. Got my little Starbucks cup this morning. Sit back and relax, and let's chat about the astrology for the day. Today happens to be a pretty easy day. There's not a whole lot for me to say about it. And there's the moon in Aries is making exactly one connection today. And that is it, right? So it makes it an easier day for us, even if a bit of a challenging one. So let's break it down and see what the heck is going on today as we have very little new energy that we're working with, which I kind of like days like this, right? Where there's not something that is earth shattering, even though, some people may have that experience today, something new happening for them or, something shaking up their world. But this is a day that gives us sort of an access to peace, an access to being okay with whatever it is that shows up for us during the day. So let's just jump right in. We had pulled out of a very long void of course moon about 10:30 my time last night. And for you guys in the East Coast, it was about 1 a.m. And now we are with the moon in the sign of Aries, which is ruled by Mars, a planet that gives us the ability to take action. We may feel more energetic today. I noticed from a weather standpoint that we've had days of clouds, and this morning we have sun, right? Sun right now. And I can't believe it, right? It's been like almost, 10 days of just cloudiness in the morning. It does break away to sun toward the afternoon, but it's been really cool and cloudy, and today is sunny. I don't know if it's going to be a warm day or not. We shall see, but I'm prepared for it. I have my short sleeves on today. And anyway, so the energy around us changes, and it feels a little different now that we've moved out of that Piscean energy, which is slower, more creative, maybe more emotional, and today's more action oriented. So let's see what the one contact the moon is making is today, and that is a square to the sun. So the square to the sun means we're in the crisis of action or the crisis of consciousness. The crisis of action is the first quarter moon after the new moon. So since we're not doing that, we are in the crisis of consciousness, which is the last quarter moon, which means we are about 1 week away from the next new moon. And this is the energy of where we begin to look at what works and what doesn't work in our world or in our lives. For example, you may have a project you started maybe back at the new moon, and today will be the first opportunity that you really are looking at it and going, something's not working here. And what is that? And what might I need to do about that? We're in the decreasing light of the moon, right? It's moving from its full state Monday, down to its new state, which will be this next week. And in that, then it mimics that the more inward orientation that you and I have in dealing with the world right now. So we're holding that orientation of moving inward to see more clearly what it is that we need to do, who it is we want to be, what can we let go of, and what do we need more of. And consequently, because of that, this isn't really a good time to jump out and start something new because we're in that decreasing light of the moon. So, and especially because we're really very close to the new moon, why not just wait, right? Just wait a few more days, get some more clarity, give yourself some time to establish what it is that's really true for you and what isn't true for you. And today's a good day for that because really that's how we are set up to look at things, right? Through the waning light of that full moon, which takes us then more inward. Let's say good morning to people. I've got Ashley, good morning to you. Hello, Mimi and Elisa, good morning. Linda, good morning. Thank you. And Colleen, good morning. Vanita, good morning. It's great to see you ladies out there. I hope wherever you are, it is a beautiful day and that you're full of the possibilities for the day. Possibilities, right? That is the energy of the day from the Pleiadian Earth energy standpoint. We are in two evolving, and two in the Pleiadian system or in the Mayan system represented duality, right? Seeing different, possibly opposite perspectives in something, standing back and looking at things from a different position or from a completely different viewpoint. And it makes it really interesting here in conjunction with the earth energy of the day, which is evolving, which is new possibilities, right? That is what Kaban or evolving is all about. And it is the blurring of boundaries where we don't quite see those boundaries anymore. In that, we need to watch out for disappointment, right? There's the potential that we can feel disappointed if things aren't turning out the way that we planned or the way that we hoped. But hold on before you make any big changes. Just take a different viewpoint of what's going on and see what you can experience or see what you can see. Just changing your perspective a bit so that you can see things differently. And I'm going to tell you, I've been through all of this energy in the very short span of time this morning that I've been up. I got up about 6 a.m., so I've been up for 2 hours now. Immediately, typically in the morning, I pick up my phone and I look and see what kind of emails I have or if there's any messages from people that need me or anything I need to deal with. Picked up my phone this morning, nothing. So first of all, that's already triggering me for whatever known reason this morning. The fact that nobody needed me or nobody wanted me or my phone wasn't showing me any emails made me go, okay, fine. And then I go to my email program because I can see more of what's going on. And there was an email there that freaking triggered me to no end. This is why my phone was saving me from getting triggered. And then I'm like, okay, so what is it about this that's triggering me? And I realized in the moment I started blaming myself for the setup to this situation. I don't want to share the situation necessarily, but just trust me when I say I was triggered. And then I realized that the real trigger wasn't that person. It was me blaming myself for the situation. And then I went, wait a minute. Oh, where did this come from? Because where did that come from? So then I thought, I'm an astrologer. I probably should look at my astrology chart because I haven't done that in a very long time. So I did it. And I realized that today, Mars, the planet of action, of confrontation, of agitation, of stirring the pot, is sitting on my ascendant. Why didn't I think about this? I'm telling you guys every morning that Mars and Mercury were in the later degrees of Cancer. My rising sign is 26 degrees of Cancer. And guess who's sitting there today? Mars is at 25 degrees, 56 minutes. That is bullet burn, right there on top of my ascendant. And, Mercury sitting at a degree that makes it at 28 degrees, which is where my sun is. So there's this concentration of energy on my ascendant, the part of me that I see, the part of me that I think is me. And this email from this person caused me to question me and to blame myself for the situation and, to start the process of beating myself up. The really cool thing about that isn't that experience, right? That part was not so much fun. And the cool part of that experience was that I was able to move through it rather quickly because I have astrology, right? I could see it. I could look at it in a chart and I could go, oh, okay. And then I can choose what I want to do with this. So it had me, first of all, questioning this morning whether or not I should be on here every day talking to you guys, right? Am I shooting my own self in the foot by coming on here in the morning and telling you all about what's going on in the day? Because then I'm teaching you to do what I do, and then you don't need me, right? Because that was the first thing that triggered me is, oh, there's no emails from anybody that says, oh, I need you. Cancer, nurturing, mothering energy, right? So all of that up in my face. So interesting what might be up in your own faces today. And it may not be. It really depends on where Cancer is in your chart as to what is coming up for you. In my case, Cancer is across the 12th house and the first house. So deep unconscious or subconscious patterns triggered maybe by the sun and then taken to Mars and Mercury, thank you very much, on my ascendant. So this is how astrology works, right? You get something that triggers you, you begin to have a feeling. And on top of that, of course, the sun, The moon in Aries is also in the sign that sits at my midheaven. So that is another sensitive place in my chart. And that causes me to question what I do in the world. And who am I? Who am I being? Who do I think I am when I come out here and participate in the world every day? Who do I think I am? And all of you do this, right? You are all participating in the world every day. And today may be one of those days where you are questioning your actions. You might be questioning which direction to go. But this is not the day to make big decisions or rash decisions based on this thinking, based on this, whatever it is, the trigger, because we are in the waning light of the moon. Like I said, this is more an energy that takes us inward and has us taking a look at, well, what are these blocks and what are these things? What are these issues that come up that we need? Ashley, she says, I need you, LOL. I have Capricorn and Cancer intercepted in my chart. So I think I need someone to teach me all of that nurturing Cancer stuff. So it depends, Ashley, how that's set up and what houses that is intercepted in. Is it where planets are focused in Capricorn, or are they focused on Cancer? So this is truly why I do this, so that people can understand more about who they are. And so when things happen, inevitably they happen. Like one little thing triggers me this morning. One little thing. In the grand scheme of my life, it was nothing, but it started to take me down a rabbit hole. And how easy it is to go down that hole, but also how easy it is to pull yourself back out of it if you know what is going on, or if at least you take some time to consider, what is it showing you about you, right? It is showing me something very important, and I'll get through that, right? I have the opportunity now, let's say, to work through that. So, and in your own lives, you'll have that same opportunity. I feel like your show is just the tip of the iceberg, and there is so much to learn. And that is another one of the things. Sometimes I get overwhelmed, and I'm sure everybody can resonate with this in your own lives. I get overwhelmed with the amount of things that there are out there that I could work with, that I could teach, in this case, teaching. If you're an artist, you may become overwhelmed at times by the wealth of tools you have out there, or of subjects that you could be working with. If you're a teacher, if you are an office worker, sometimes your desk is piling up and all those files need to go someplace. If you're a homemaker, sometimes the laundry's stacked up. And on top of that, you haven't done the floors, or you haven't, you know what I'm saying, right? Sometimes, no matter what it is you're doing, things get piled up. And then you can get overwhelmed with the vast amount of things that you could do, that you want to do, versus what you have to do. And that is where we are today, with the sun and the moon in a challenge to one another. And, here we are also, I also realized as I was looking at this morning, Mercury retrograde, we're in the shadow right now. We entered the shadow on June 20th. And by the way, I don't remember telling you guys that. So June 20th, we entered the shadow of the next Mercury retrograde, which starts on July 7th and moves on until July 3rd through the 31st. And then that will be when Mercury turns direct again. And it is going to be retrograding right over the same spot in my chart. Yowza. I'm so glad I looked at that, right? And I must have known this because I put together the astrology for 2019. I knew where all of the retrogrades were going to be. It just didn't sink in until now. And so I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, great. So this is what I want to teach you all this morning about Mercury retrograde. I want to give you another way to look at what happens in the shadow, what happens during the retrograde, and then what happens when it turns back to direct. So wait for this one. Let's just see what's going on here. Dishes are stacked, doing them now, Londa says. Patricia, I think you just really like helping people. Maybe that's your trigger instead. Blah, yep. And Londa said, is it in my chart? If so, I'll go back to bed. You know what, Londa? You have a Leo rising, so this is happening between your 11th and your 12th house. So yeah, it is happening. And Colleen, story of my life. You didn't have to tell us. My computer did. LOL. So yeah, my computer hasn't really been telling me too much about it, although it's had its moment. But my mind is glitching, right? My mind is glitching. So I got up a little bit ago. I walked into my bedroom. I had the Pleiadian Earth Energy Calendar in my hand. I'm like, what am I doing in here? Why did I come in here? I'm like, glitch. Okay, come back to my computer, sit down and go, oh, damn it. I needed to get the chart off the printer, which is in the other room. So I'd got in there to get the chart, totally forgot why I'd got in there. So if it's not your mind glitching, it might be your mouth glitching. If it's not your mouth glitching, it might be your computer glitching, but that is the story of the retrograde. But I want to tell you something else about it. So I noticed this issue this morning that cropped up in my world. That would have been maybe at the, because one of two things, Mars hitting my ascendant, or the fact Mercury has already passed over my ascendant and is showing me something, right? It is showing me, what is the words that I took yesterday from this? I have papers all over my house. You guys would laugh at me. And right now I have a paper that is wrapped around my computer, where my arms would sit. Because of my tattoo, I have to put cream or ointment on it, and it keeps getting stuck to my computer. So I put a piece of paper down so that it would stick to the paper instead, and I wouldn't be peeling my hand off of my computer. So yesterday I was thinking about this Mercury retrograde, not personally, but just in general. And I realized the first time that Mercury is in the shadow, and that territory that it begins to pass through, wherever it is in your chart, is going to show you where you're missing something. It's going to show you maybe where you've left something undone, where something that you started isn't finished, or you're missing a building block, right? You're missing a chink in your armor, or you're missing a brick in the wall. So it's funny. Those are kind of funny metaphors, but it's the thing is that what gets exposed in this moment from now until the retrograde itself on July 7th. So from June 20th to July 7th, for all of you, something is being revealed to you that has weaknesses, or that has something missing, or that isn't complete. It might be an idea or a creative impulse that you started that had something that's not complete. It may be a thought. It might even be an idea. And that idea was meant to be taken action on, and it's just been sitting in your head, moving around and around, but with no action. I'm not saying that now is a good time to take an action on it, but it may be time to revisit, reanalyze, reevaluate some of those things that Mercury is triggering for you from now until July 7th. And again, that this is a span of degrees in your chart. So if you want to write this span of degrees down, you're looking at 23 degrees Cancer to 4 degrees of Leo. And then once Mercury reaches 4 degrees of Leo, it turns retrograde, and it will move backwards to the 23-degree Cancer spot. And on June 20th is when it was at 23 degrees Cancer. So I hope you're following me. If you guys have questions, type it in here, right? Type any questions you have there so that I can clear this up. So right now, you're in this phase of Mercury's transit that is about discovery, discovering more about, what needs to be finished, what needs to be strengthened, what needs to be changed. Now, once Mercury hits retrograde, and this will be July 7th, it begins the process of moving back across that same territory, right? The same territory it's been in. So my little issue this morning that I had, I get to relive again in some way, but now with Mercury in retrograde. Now the process becomes a more inner process of fixing the problem, or of looking closer, deeper at the issue or the problem that's developed, that's been shown to me. Make sense? Right? And this is a span of time. So Mercury is in retrograde approximately 3 weeks, 3 weeks coming, 3 weeks in, and about 3 weeks going. Forgot to turn my phone off. Sorry, guys. And the process of that then has us reevaluating then what can we change? What can we do differently? Where can we go? What can we do? Hold on. Oh, shoot, I forgot I have 2 phones in here. All right, well, that one's further away. So reevaluate, right? Reanalyze, look again deeper within. Then, once it reaches 23 degrees of Cancer, that day it turns direct, or it hangs there for a moment and then changes back to forward motion. And now we're in the 3 weeks, or 2.5 to 3 weeks of me and my phones. Okay, so it puts us in the position of now getting to actually do something about the problem that we discovered back at the beginning, right? So back right around June 20th. Does that make sense to people? So it's not that, it's not that Mercury is a disruptor, although it is. It's not that Mercury is a punisher. It really isn't. And it's not that, things go crazy specifically because of that planet turning retrograde. Instead, it's more of an exposer of what's not working, of what isn't sustainable, maybe, of what won't cut it, of maybe even letting go of something that showing you what you might need to let go of in order to move forward. So it has purpose and meaning. And every planet that goes retrograde goes through the same kind of cycle, right? It comes across the point. It meets the point at which it is entering its retrograde zone, exposes something to you that you might need to work on, then turns retrograde and goes back over that, giving you that time to go within and see what is it that needs to be changed? What can I do differently? Maybe it's time to let this go. Maybe it's time to do something new. And then reaches back to the point it started its cycle, its retrograde cycle, and then goes forward again. So all the planets do that. Mercury just does it 3 or 4 times a year. So we're more familiar with that, right? We're familiar with the other ones that do it on a yearly basis, but the ones that really knock us for a loop are Mercury, Venus, and Mars when they go into the retrograde cycles, because they're personal planets, right? They meet us in us, as opposed to meeting us in the collective or meeting us out in the wider collective consciousness. So Mercury is communication, Colleen, absolutely. And she says there's a bunch of planets in that area for me, Jupiter, Venus, and I forget, which means that as planets are moving backward, so let's say Mercury then, which is still moving forward, triggers those planets in some way for you, Colleen, then what it is more complex for you than about to try to tease out what is this retrograde bringing you to. So this is where knowing your chart really comes in handy, because you're going, okay, that's Jupiter and Venus. What do they represent in my chart? So your Jupiter and Venus must be in Cancer, and that must mean that there's a very deep, there's a goddess mother inside of you here that wants to come out, that needs emphasis and focus. And I'm making this up because I really don't know your chart right off the top of my head, Colleen. So I'm only assuming that Jupiter and Venus are in Cancer for you. So you're the consummate mother. And Jupiter in a chart often can play this dual role. It can be where you have the best, the most beautiful, beneficent energy, reward coming to you. But it can also play the role of showing you where you're not playing full out to your strength, to your beauty, to your real gifts. So, for example, when I see someone with Jupiter in the 12th house, let's just say, wow, there's a hidden master here. There's a hidden guru. There's someone who likely had experienced persecution in some other lifetime, or maybe even in this lifetime, for being their true self or living their authentic self. And over the course of their lifetime, then Jupiter in that 12th house is meant to be popped out and them embodying the true master within, right? That's that. There's a lot of fear that they're having to wade through, likely, and I can't prove this, but likely because of persecution in other lifetimes. Maybe they lived a lifetime in the Spanish Inquisition. Maybe they lived a lifetime in Salem, during the witch trials, or, so as they practiced their craft or lived from their authenticity in other lifetimes, this lifetime they are trying to do that, but the memory, the cellular memory is still there. So it can be that way for all of us somewhere in our charts. And it's hard to say based on, just this conversation, but That's exactly what it is that you're here to do. And Colleen, if this is true, she's saying that's true. I mother animals all day. And how awesome is that, right? And Colleen says it is in my 12th house. Jupiter's in your 12th house. So the hidden mothering energy is needing to be pulled out, right? And animals are a great way to do that. Why? Because they don't talk back. They're not little humans talk back, and they can tell you, I don't love you. But your dogs, what do? They just love you unconditionally, right? Humans are a much more complex being, but you're here to embrace mothering and nurturing and compassion and protectiveness in all of its expressions. So that's how you could look at that. And maybe the fear, maybe in another lifetime, Colleen, you failed as a mother in some way, or you feel like you failed as a mother in some way. And in this lifetime, you get to balance that out. Jupiter, yes. Venus, first degrees of Leo. Well, Venus will be moving into Leo soon enough. Next month. Next month, there's a lot of movement. And that reminds me, for those of you who are members of the Academy, today at 4 p.m. Pacific time is our July webinar. And I have a lot to tell you about today because July is likely going to be one of the more complex months of 2019, with a lot of coming and going, with eclipses, 2 new moons, a Mercury retrograde, Mars showing up in all of his glory all month long. And you'll want to know what that is all about, because it can lead you to burnout, it can lead you to confrontations, it can lead you to conflict, blah, 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 on and on. So today at 4 o'clock. Now, for those of you who are not yet members of Living Astrology Academy, you can absolutely join that today for $13 a month. And you can then participate in today's webinar, and because those webinars are included in your membership every month. All right, so yes, Londa, people can still join the Academy. And hold on, I'll grab that link and I'll post it here for everybody. And you can go do that. And then let's see here. There's that link. I always forget I can type stuff in here. There you go. So hopefully that link shows up. You guys can click on that, join the membership. Then you will also be able to join in the webinar this afternoon. Okay, and for those of you who are in the Academy already, I will post that link again on the Living Astrology Facebook page, the Living Astrology Academy Facebook page, but you also should have received an email invitation for that on Sunday. So check your email and check your junk mail, your spam folders if you didn't receive it, because I noticed that only a handful of all of the members reached out or got that information, or opened the email with that information in it. So you may want to do that. All right, so let's take a look now at something human design-ish today. How about the mastery class? What are you talking about? People still can join the Academy. How about the mastery class? Are you talking about the Dimensional Astrology certification course? Because if so, yes, I could maybe allow another 1 or 2 people in. I'm trying to make it a balanced group, so we'll see. But if it's you that's interested, Londa, or if you know somebody that's interested, let me know privately, and I will certainly, take a look at that. So this is the test for that class, by that certification course. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I've got my 5 people that I wanted in there for this first test run. I am open if someone else does want to join, but I would want to have a conversation with them first to see how they would fit with the rest of the group. Awesome. Okay. So just after the show this morning, text me or something and let me know about that. All right. So, you know what? I want to know what you guys want to talk about after this. We have, maybe 30 minutes. I'm going to start a chat right now about Venus at gate 45. But while I'm talking about that, you guys can tell me if there's another subject that you want to talk about. Okay. So Venus has moved on to the gate 45 in your human design chart. Holy cow, I didn't pull a new chart today, but that's okay. I still have this one. So Venus sitting right here at gate 45, which is on the throat center. And the gate 45 is part of a channel called the money line. The gate 45 itself is like the CEO, the chief executive officer, or maybe the CFO, the chief financial officer, or at least in their own mind. No, let's reframe that. The gate 45 is the gate of the CEO. Gate 21 on the other side, which we know of as the gate of control, is more like the CFO, right? The one who controls the purse strings best is the CFO, but the one who feels entitled, maybe it's the chief entitled officer, CEO, to spend money. And the lesson in all of this, in this particular gate with Venus, is to align your spending with your values, right? This can be a place in your chart of power struggles with other people, particularly a spouse. If you have one end and your spouse has the other, and you come together through that channel, it can create power struggles over finances. And right now, if you are in a relationship, or maybe you're the one that has a hanging gate 45, the planet Venus has connected up with that particular gate. And what's interesting about that is yesterday I was having a conversation with a young lady that said that she's been, and her words were something like, I'm afraid that I have, how did she put that? I'm afraid I have recreated a financial burden that I knew better than to create. And now I'm trying to get myself out of it. And I went, okay, Venus at gate 45. It is telling a story about where we may be overly optimistic and where we spend over much, or where we feel entitled to spend, which can sometimes create an issue where we're spending money that was meant for something else. But it can also, on the more positive side of things, bring in more money. If you've been doing your due diligence and working and trying to create cash flow or an abundant flow in your world, Venus sitting there is about ready to bring it to you. So it is a place where there is abundance, but also the possibility of creating troubles financially for yourself. So you've got to look in your own chart, or know your own self. Where is this happening in your chart? As I looked at this person's chart yesterday, I saw Venus was moving through her second house. So the second house is the house of earned income or money. It may show that her pathway through this is something she does on her own, and maybe her fear triggered the realization that it was her job to see this through, right? To work with this, not out of fear, but in a way that she holds the key. She holds the ability to create or reestablish that flow in her life. So Venus is there only for a few more days. So it's not like it comes and, parks here for a long time, but it is an important aspect of what's happening for us all, because we've been kind of cued into Venus for a while, because Venus energy is really about keeping true to our own values and living from our values, teaching from our values, spending our money according to our values. And in that way, we are empowered and can make changes out in the world. In the Gene Keys, by the way, there's some exciting things coming down the pike for Gene Keys, and I'm really excited about that. I don't know exactly how that's going to look, but I'm excited to share that with you when it does. It may be a little while yet, but so in the lowest expression of the gate 45, it's the energy of dominance. In the gift, it is synergy. We're taking our energies and synergizing, bringing together, working together for the good of all, or for the good of the family, or for the good of our relationship. Or the highest expression is communion. Wow, those could be some words that we could take and tear apart someday. So those energies are what Venus is bringing to us in the short term. Now, There was a reason why I thought that was really important. And I think it was because there's this prelude to energy that Jupiter will be bringing us in July. And I don't want to share that now because that's something, for the Academy members to hear first today. But I want you to be aware of Jupiter in your chart and be aware of Venus in your chart, because the two of them are playing a profound role for the end of this month and into the month of July. I think that's all I have for you guys today. If you guys have questions, this is your chance. This is your chance to do it. Good morning, Allison. Good morning, Debbie Tibbetts, Tumiel. And it's great to see you, ladies out there. Willa, shout out to Vanita. Thanks for being an awesome friend and helping my parents. Wow, what a sweet thing. Laura, good morning to you. My car broke down yesterday. Very expensive. Mercury retrograde shadow was the first thing that came to mind. Yeah. So Laura, this is what I like to do when something breaks down in my house or in my car or in my computer. I like to say, what is that showing me about me? Because depending on what it was that broke down in your car, and if it's, anything to do with your car anymore is expensive, right? It's ridiculous how expensive it is to fix your car. I had to replace the alternator in my car. The alternator itself was $65, but the work done was close to $600 by the time it was done. Ridiculous, right? But the point isn't the cost or the fact it broke down. It is, what is it showing you about you? To me, the alternator was about how I was generating energy, right? Because that's what the alternator does. It generates electricity, feeds that electricity to the battery so that the car will start and keep running and your lights will stay on, et cetera, et cetera. Or at least that, in my estimation, that's what the alternator does. And so in my examination of that, I was like, so where am I not generating properly or correctly? What is it energetically? Am I not generating energy appropriately, or am I generating too much energy inappropriately? So it's always kind of interesting to look at that. If same things when we're dealing with things that break down in our house, right? Your stove or your refrigerator or your washer or dryer. It really does serve a purpose, and that might be in a Mercury retrograde for you to look deeper at what in the run up to a Mercury retrograde. What is this showing you about you? And yeah, Londa, can you look at my chart for Friday? Sure. What's going on Friday? Let's see. Let's do that real quick. I just happen to have. Oh, yes, I did put you here. Let me get your chart up. And if you could tell me more specifically, Londa, what it is. I'm looking up, you guys, because there's an eagle out there, and I'd let my cat out. So now I'm a little concerned because those eagles are, sometimes they're pests. Other times they're gorgeous to look at. So Londa, let me set the chart for Friday for you, which would be, Friday would be what, June? Is that funny? I need a real calendar now. It's gonna be the 28th, is it? The 28th. Good guess. So let me set the chart for the 28th. Okay. So tell me, did you tell me more about what it is you're looking for? Supposed to leave on vacation, and our friends are wavering about going. And Laura, I will get to your question in a moment too, okay? So Londa, let me take a look at your chart. And I remember this. In fact, I thought you were leaving this week, Monday. Like I thought you were already on the road on vacation. So I'm surprised that I was surprised to see you this morning for that. So when I take a look at Mars and Mercury in your chart, indeed, they are in your 12th house. And maybe there's something to look at there that unconsciously you're creating. And it's just showing up in your friends, right? They're just showing you maybe your own hesitation or your own, is there something you would rather be doing? That's what I would ask. Is there something you would rather be doing, or is there someplace else that you would rather be going? And, take a look deeper into that. Vacations and travel are usually seen in the fifth house, and you have Jupiter moving through the fifth house. My guess is you're going on vacation. Although Jupiter is retrograde, so it's a possibility instead of going to where you thought you were going, maybe it's someplace closer to home. Maybe it is a shorter version of that trip. I don't know for certain. And that isn't set in stone either. Really, I think you just need to take a look inward and say, what is this delay meaning for you? Because the potential for the trip is there. But your own hesitation may be what you're looking at, not someone else's. Londa says, I'd rather go on vacation, but is that where you would rather go? Is there someplace else that you would rather go, perhaps? I mean, this isn't something that you can always look at just, with one sitting, maybe analyzing it a little bit deeper, looking and going, okay, what is this showing me? That's how I would want to do that. But I think that you still have the potential to go. And my suggestion would be, if you still want to go on vacation, do you have to go with them? If they choose not to go, does that mean you really can't go? Right? Why not? Maybe it's just a you and Mike vacation, right? That you two get to reconnect. And, the fifth house, besides the house of vacation, is also the house of love and romance. So maybe it's more about that. And that's the opportunity that this might be bringing for you. As much as we like going out with our friends and doing things with our friends, maybe this is a time for you and Mike. So go on your vacation, and whether they go or not. So let's see. Laura. Okay, going back to her question. She says, so how would you analyze the hydraulic timing change tensioner? Is my timing off? That one's almost so obvious, right? It's all about timing. I'm thinking the tensioner, the timing keeps the engine moving in time, right? So that it's not misfiring and, stalling, etc. I don't know cars very well, but I know that when you use the word timing, I one time had a timing chain or a timing belt or whatever in the flip they call those things break when I was on the freeway, and it was horrible, right? The car just died in the middle of like the fourth lane. I'm over in the fast lane of traffic on Highway 57 in Southern California. Imagine that. It was ferociously traffic ridden, and I had to try to get over 4 lanes to get to the right side. But indeed, what it's telling you is check your timing. What are you trying to push? Are you trying to push something? Are you, we're going to talk about timing today in the webinar. I hope you're going to be there because I know you're a member. Where's your timing off? Where are you pushing the river instead of relaxing and going with the flow? Does this timing tensioner belt thing break so that you have to take the time to do something else while your car is in the shop? And I know that's usually an expensive fix. So I have total empathy for you here, because I know that those, no matter what, it seems like your cars cost a lot of money to get fixed anymore. So checking timing. Where are you pushing the river? Where are you out of sync with what timing is best? Or where are you trying to make things happen instead of holding space for things to happen? That's what I would check for you. Allison, Venus, Jupiter in Scorpio. Yeah, the reason Venus and Jupiter came up, Allison, is because we were talking about Cancer, the sign of Cancer, where Mercury is going to be retrograding. And someone mentioned that their Jupiter and Venus, Colleen mentioned her Jupiter and Venus were in that same area where Mercury is turning retrograde and going back and forth. So that's why we brought that subject up. We were talking about Jupiter and Venus because of that. But Jupiter and Venus in Scorpio, that is something you're going deep, right? You don't want that superficial la in your relationships. You want to connect deeply. You want to have fun. You want to have adventures. You want to be that explorer. You want to get out and be able to have someone close to your heart that loves doing those same things. And then is also a deeper connection. It's a more intimate connection. No superficiality for you, right? You want depth, and you want excitement, and you want exploration. And that's easily seen by Venus and Jupiter and Scorpio. Not sure what house that is in your chart, but anyway. So, oh, that's okay, Allison. It's fine, fine, fine. Let's see, other people. How does Venus affect an open throat and open the other end? Is that the will center? Yes, it is the ego center, where the gate 45 and gate 21 are white. Thank you. So good question. So you have the entire money line channel open. And that means all of us have all of the human design. So when I show you a human design chart, right, even if it's white in areas, you still have it. It's still there. And right now, the planet Venus happens to be turning on the throat center end of that channel. And then it's a possibility that other people that have the hanging 21 will meet up with you. And then, you can make money together. You can spend money together. You can struggle over money together. It depends on how you meet up with them. But now gate 45 hanging also means the possibility that you are maybe entertaining new ways of generating income. Maybe maybe you've already generated some income and you're working on spending that money. So it can be playing out in different ways in your chart. The takeaway, though, is that when you have a white area, a gate or a channel or a center that's open or white, it is inconsistently expressed energy. So it happens to connect up through hanging gates with other people, or when planets transit over it, like it's happening for you right now with Venus moving over gate 45. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you need some more clarity around that. Londa, that's an older one. So I also have Venus in Scorpio. This is Ashley. Mine is in the 11th house. So Scorpio on the 11th house is you also love so deeply wanting to connect with friends or with the groups of people that you are with or that you're around. Sometimes you may get into groups where there's a competitive spirit and that can trip you up, right? That can trip you up, but it can also be a gift for you to be able to be engaged with other people that like depth, right? That like to go deep into whatever it is. It might be a metaphysical group. It might be a sports group. Maybe you play sports. It might be music. It could be the PTA, for God's sakes. It doesn't matter, but whatever group it is that you find yourself a part of, whether it's friends or associations or clubs that you're a part of, you don't want no superficial fickleness. You want the depth, you want the juiciness, you want the connection, you want the intimacy in the group. But there's also a deep need here for you, Ashley, to get your desires met. The 11th house is also holding your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, all that you want, right? There's a deep, I would wonder if you have gate 30 defined in your human design chart. And if you did, gate 30 would be down here on the emotional center, right there. So you can maybe check your human design chart and see if you have that. That ramps those desires up, right? And ramps up the need to get those things fulfilled and to get what you want. And Scorpio there would give you the staying power, the stamina to stick with it. Okay. Allison, 11th house. Okay, Laura, you're welcome, sweetie. All right. So we've crossed a lot of territory today. You guys asked great questions. I love that. Did I miss anybody's questions? I don't think so. So Allison, then your Venus and Jupiter and Scorpio are also on your 11th house, right? So what you're saying here is the same thing I just said to Ashley, pretty much, is that the people that you associate with are the ones that you want to have that connection with and also be able to take it and explore the world with, right? So it might be, travel clubs. That would be a good one for someone with Scorpio there. Yeah, travel clubs or groups, that may be traveling with a group. You'd want to be careful with that. You want to make sure you would want to make sure that the people that you traveled with were of like mind and not so different from you that it makes the whole idea of traveling together boring or annoying. I would watch that part. Okay, so let's see. I see things popping up. Ba-dum-bum. Ashley Imbornone says, thanks. I go deeply into everything. And yes, I do have gate 30 hanging. I suspected that. Gate 30 is the gate of desire, not sexual desire, by the way. This is the desire. I want a family. I want to travel. I want to make money. I want to spend money. Whatever it is that you desire, it's ramping up the energy in the chart. So it's not just the I wants. It's the emotional fortitude then to stick with something until you get what you want. Now, that energy, when it's hanging in particular, is activated in the early parts of January for you every year, like maybe January 20th to 22nd. That's the human design new year. So if you find yourself resonating more with setting resolutions and getting prepared for the new year later in January, that would be why. Because the human design new year begins when the sun is at gate 41, which then would complete that channel for you. So then you can imagine and you can create and you can explore new ideas and new desires and set your goals and intentions in very powerful ways around that time of the year. Other times too, so don't get me wrong there, but I'm just saying gate 41 becomes the completion energy, or being around somebody that has the gate 41 completes that for you as well. So again, you can't always like, maybe you're in Starbucks and you meet somebody and you have this exciting conversation with them and you go, God, they just made me feel so good. And now I have all these creative ideas. You could just about guarantee that they were completing channels for you in some way. But since you're not able to draw a chart right there, of course you could. There is software to do that on your phone or on your computer or laptop if you have it with you. You could draw that chart and you'd go, oh, wow, okay, that connects me. But you don't have to do that. You can go by what you feel, right? Go by what you feel. That's the gate 30 is what you feel. It's on the emotional center. When you feel that connection, right, that creative idea, that inspiration takes off and fuels the desire to get it done, to see it happen, to complete that. And you could also look at that as the shadow of a hunger that is unfulfilled, right? Because that's the more lower frequency energy there, is that hunger or that void that doesn't get fulfilled or doesn't get filled up. So there you go. Ashley, Allison, you guys need to travel together, she says. That's what Ashley says. That's kind of fun. Londa, wow, what a group. My people, I don't know what it didn't complete. Londa, your thought didn't complete. Allison, yes, heard that after the fact. If time allows, a quick peek at my chart for something I ought to be paying attention to. Let's take a quick peek at yours, Miss Mimi. And gotta remember your last name. Okay, it starts with E. There you are. And what you mean by paying attention to is, I'm assuming, where the Mercury area of the chart for you is, right? Where's Mercury turning retrograde? Where is it now? Let's take a peek there. So for you, Mimi, Cancer, the sign that this is all taking place is in the 4th house. So the 4th house is the house of home, family, your roots, traditions. And I just giving you fair warning here, the day before Mercury turns retrograde. So somewhere in that first few days of July, maybe July 3rd through the 7th, Mercury is going to land on top of your natal Uranus in your 4th house. That also represents mother. Is your mother still alive? There may be something going on in your family, maybe a surprise, something really good. Maybe something that, Uranus plays the role of awakener. So it was interesting because the verbiage you used, let me go back here. The verbiage you used, that something that I ought to be paying attention to is home and family, or your foundation, right? Your foundation. And there could be a literal foundation, the foundation of your house, the foundation of your work, the foundation of your relationships, taking a look at the foundation, taking a look at the relative strength of that foundation. And Mercury and then Mars, both transiting in early July for you over Uranus, guarantees something that you didn't expect. Could be something good that you didn't expect, but it could also be something upsetting, or at least initially upsetting, or that comes out of the blue that you just didn't see happening. Shocking, maybe even. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be extraordinarily good as well. Windfalls, right? That can come. The fourth house is more about home and family, your roots, your foundation, safety or security. Are you planning on traveling at that time? If you're traveling during that time, I would take care, right? If you're traveling somewhere over that 4th of July holiday or into, the 7th, take care that your house is secured, that that you feel safe and protected, that you protect yourself. I'm not predicting anything to happen to you. That's not the point. Because remember, Mercury is in territory right now that it's exposing some point or perhaps some weakness, some chink in that armor that you need to look at deeper. So maybe you have a foundation plan. There's some part of your plan or your foundation that you might want to look at. Maybe you're building something, right? Maybe you're looking at rebuilding something. So just check the foundation of that first. Other than that, your chart looks good. There's no other, big things. The sun is going to come across that point too, but not until later July. So it feels like there's, some focus going on here. Maybe it's about, I don't know. I feel like sometime later in the summer, maybe as the sun and Mercury and Mars all start moving through Leo, it's going to trigger your natal sun. And maybe then something big comes to light for you. So I would be open. I would remain cautious. And I would watch out for chinks in the foundations of things in your life. How's that? Okay. Allison, Ashley, see how much we need you. Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, thank you. That's all I'm going to say about that. My kind of peep, Suzanne Fulmer. If there is time, can we look at mine for focus? Sure. Me, please, Debbie. Debbie, you and I need to set up your appointment for your monthly. So let's do you that way, because then we can look at the bigger picture. So let's Suzanne. And Suzanne. I'm in the wrong place. Here we go. If you see me looking at something, I am scrolling through 990 charts to find Suzanne's. Which means I have to delete some pretty soon because it's going to max me out at 1,000. So I better take a look at what I've got in here. Okay, Suzanne. For you, Cancer is on this part of Cancer where the eclipse is happening, is at an earlier part of Cancer, but where Mercury's retrograding and where Mars is right now is literally on top of your natal Mars. So also your natal Mercury got involved. Your natal Mercury, Suzanne, is at 23 degrees of Cancer. That's exactly where it entered the retrograde zone on June 20th. So this retrograde is very active for you in that it passes not only over your natal Mercury, but your natal Mars. And it's transiting Mercury and transiting Mars that are making the moves here. So in the 3rd house of the mind. So there may be a lot going on in your head right now, girlfriend. It makes me wonder what kind of self-talk is going on and whether you need to take a look at that and make sure that you're being clean and clear with yourself and not, debasing yourself or devaluing yourself. And take a look at what you are thinking about. What are your thoughts focused on? Because that's what's creating for you. And you're about to have a Mars return. And a Mars return only happens every 2 years. Each of us have one. I'm getting ready to go through one as well. And it's a time where your energy bumps up, right? It's like an infusion of energy comes in. And it can it can be the source of conflict and confrontation between you and others, because this is ego energy. And it's also Mercury, so it's communication energy. So you may find yourself either at the giving or receiving end of confrontation and conflict. But I would urge you to look at that and understand deeper why that's showing up, not to play into it, right? Not to play into it, not to make it, take it and run with it and move it into your head and replay the conversations over and over again. Don't do that. Instead, take a step back from it. What is it showing you about you? Right? What is the truth here? There's also the possibility with the third house of taking on a teaching position. Maybe you're starting a new program yourself or you're learning something. So something here for you to think about in terms of the mind and what is your thought processes. So does that make sense? And yeah, Debbie, you're welcome. We'll do yours. In fact, I was just thinking about you yesterday and I almost sent out the link and I didn't. So I'll send it out when we're done this morning. Kristen, is there time to look at mine regarding this retrograde? Kristen, have I done a chart for you before, girl? Page, let's see. I think I have. I'll find out here in a moment. Ah, I do. There you go. So Kristen, so you're very much like Mimi in that your Mercury is retrograding sort of from the fourth house. Let me see, what is the cusp of that fifth house though? Fifth house, there we go, is 25 Cancer. So you have sort of a dual thing happening for you. And a lot of you are going to have this where the retrograde isn't happening just in one house, or it's crossing up, between two different houses. And for you, that's the truth. Right now, they've moved past their start point and they're now in your fifth house of joy, creativity, fun, play, vacation, love, and romance. So that's what comes under review here for you, at least initially, is maybe you're noticing that maybe there's not a romance. Maybe you're looking for a romance, or maybe you're thinking, I want more travel. I want more fun. I want more play in my life. And that is exactly more joy in my life. That is exactly what I think you need to really focus your energy on. 4 degrees of Leo, which is where Mercury will change into retrograde, is not sitting where there are any planets. So there's no interference, but it is trining your destiny. And your destiny being the North Node, which is in your 12th house, it's hidden. And it's in Aries. So Aries is youthful, fun. It is explorer energy. It is, it wants to try new things. So what's fun and joyful and playful for you is starting new things. And your destiny is literally to do that. So being creative. This is fire energy, at least initially for you. And what does that mean, right? So right now, as it's going to retrograde backwards into Cancer, where are you protecting yourself from that? Where are you not having fun? Where are you not engaged in a love or a romantic relationship? And how can you work with that to reestablish that in your life? Yeah. Yes, we can, Allison. So does that make sense to you, Kristen? I know, and I'm pretty sure you shared this with everybody. And so what I say next is out of bounds, I apologize. But some of you who've been here with us for a while may remember that Kristen had cancer and was being treated for cancer. So Kristen, the sure bet emotionally to work with the energy of cancer is to find joy, is to connect to joy and love. And love and joy comes through creatively engaging that energy. So how can you establish that or reestablish it? Coming through that diagnosis and then the treatment for it can really beat you up. And Now it's time for you to go back to what made you joyful and, live from that. I just encourage you to absolutely live from that and engage it. It's a youthful dynamic, right? This is, Aries is the north node at 4 degrees. Mercury is going to make it up to 4 degrees of Leo and turn retrograde. So right there, those two are triggered. So engaging more love, more play, more laughter, more fun and pleasure, all of that is going to super support you during this time of rebuilding your health. Okay. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you. I knew, I was pretty sure that everybody here in the group had heard about this. So I'm really happy to be able to share that with you. And somebody else asked me a question. Who was it? Vanita, where's my Jupiter and Venus? Lost my chart. Venus and Jupiter isn't really what we were talking about. But Vanita, I'm going to write myself a note right now. Send Vanita her astrology chart. I hope you have a printer because you can print it off. I would tell you guys, let me show you. I have a file folder. It's green. And does it say, I don't even have it labeled, but in it are all of the charts, all of the things that I need, tools that I would need in order to be able to share this information with all of you. What I would do if I were you guys is I would get a file folder or a little notebook and get some sheet protectors because, they're really good at protecting the paper that you have in it, and make up a little notebook of your human design chart, your astrology chart, your gene keys, hologenetic profile, and any other charts, right, that you end up drawing up for yourself or having me draw up for you. Your natal chart at the very minimum, and maybe, once a month going in and getting a transit chart, because those things help you know what's going on for you. And then when you come to this, morning show, you have your chart with you and you can go, oh yeah, my Jupiter and Venus are in blank, right? And you've got that. So, so hold on. Vanita, I've got to change programs, I think, in order to get to your information. Vanita being one of my oldest friends and clients here. And I don't think I have you in this program that I'm using now, but let me just see, because I might have added you for different webinars and things that you've come to. Or I might have just left you where I had you, and I did. Okay, so hold on. It's going to take me just an extra moment here. And we'll take a look at where your Mercury and Mars are. And then I'll just tell you where your Jupiter and Venus are for fun and grins. Because I can, as soon as my program decides to behave. All right, let's go there. Waitingforastro.com. Okay, let's do it. All right, Vanita, let's take a look here. Okay, here we go. Why do you have to take so long? I want it now. Okay, so Vanita, ooh, yes. I should have known this, Vanita, because you have a Leo rising, very much like Londa does. And with that on the rise, what you have then is Mercury and Mars in the 12th house of the hidden, of the unconsciousness. And it is on top of your north node. So there's destiny here, right? And you're creating something from the dark, bringing something out and bringing something up from the dark. Excuse me for one moment. Come in. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Someone's at my door. Oh.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
here with no key, put the code in for their thing, and can't get it to open. Do you by any chance have that code to their garage?
5911 or 9511 or I don't know, and I don't want you to mess it up. What were you putting in?
10,920.
1009?
1009.
That might be it.
Well, that's the one I think it is.
Oh no!
Say what you. I know.
I'm sorry, I'm on air, so I need to go back.
Okay.
But
say what you said again. 5911.
Yeah, but it's not that.
Okay.
Because when you said 10, or it started with the 10s, then I remembered. Maybe it's 5009.
Okay, we'll try that.
Okay, sorry. Oh, guys. Sorry, guys. The neighbor here locked out of her house, or the mother of my neighbors who just left for 5 weeks to visit Europe. And yeah. Okay, so Vanita, Mercury and Mars turning, Mercury turning retrograde in your 12th house. It's a very similar situation to Londa in that looking deeper within. Your destiny sits there, by the way, and your destiny there would suggest that when you dig deeper into your fears, into your blocks or limits, then you begin to uncover, your truth, right? Your authenticity, and your entire Mercury retrograde is going to happen in that 12th house. So to me, that would say that you're likely going to experience something that and maybe you have already gotten triggered by something that you've dealt with before, right? That may be some kind of fear that you've dealt with, some kind of thinking pattern, because the 12th house is the place where we have subconscious patterns, and those subconscious patterns are sort of ruling the whole of the chart or of your life. So you need to take a look deeper at what it is that, if you're still looking for love, if you're still looking for finances, if you're still looking for XYZ, whatever it is, and you're not finding it, why, right? What is blocking you, and looking at what is blocking you. And oh, by the way, your Jupiter and Venus happen to be, your Jupiter is at 25 degrees of Pisces, and your Venus is at 12 degrees of Aquarius. 12 degrees of Aquarius. Ooh, if I could give you a little hint, it would be, I would look to some really good things relationship-wise coming in 2021. Not that nothing will happen before then, but that's when Saturn moves into Aquarius, and you have your own natal Saturn in Aquarius. So things might start looking up for you then. Okay, I hope that helps. And Mimi, family has passed yet with me in spirit. Perhaps the house. Perhaps the house, because literally it does represent the house. And if that's the case, then I would look at the foundation. I don't know. And maybe it's not that, but be prepared for surprises. Let's just say that. And anything else for anybody? Good. You're welcome. Yes, we can, Allison. I think I already said that. Okay. So, Mercury brain fade. Yes. Brain fade in the 12th house. And Linda, I did get your email, by the way, and hopefully today I'll have a chance to work on those and make folders and keep them. So your natal chart never changes. So if you get a natal chart done, you can keep that one forever. So get a sheet protector, put it in that, and keep that one. If you draw up a transit chart, however, that changes day to day to day. So, there's time limit for the usefulness of a transit chart. It's meant for a specific thing. And but your natal chart is always there, so keep that one, and your human design chart doesn't change except by transits and people coming into your life. And your hologenetic profile, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole deeper connection that you have to you and your authentic self. And we'll talk more about that someday soon. In fact, the tools for that, for me to be able to share that with you, are coming available soon. As an ambassador to the Gene Keys now, I can share more and more information, but the tools aren't quite prepared for us to do that yet. But I will share them when I can. All right, everybody, that is it for me today. I apologize for the break in the broadcast while I helped the neighbor here. I hope you all have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, don't forget, I will be on Angel Heart Radio at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That is a radio show. So you can call in or listen via your computer or your phone. And you can also call into the show to get a mini reading if you didn't get one today and you wanted one. All right. Hi, Asa. Nice to see you. And thank you very much. All right, guys, take care. Mwah. Have a great day.